We currently have about 500 producer members, 60 associate members, which are like banks, seed companies, etc. That represents just about 1 million acres in Nebraska. Our membership is from Sterling, Colorado to Council Bluffs, but the bulk of it is right in the center of Nebraska. We have a board of 15 farmers, and then there are 2 of us ladies in the office. That's a real interesting dynamic. We have done a lot of things. We pursued corn stover. We actually did in 2009 secure 80,000 tons in contracts for corn stover. Our objective is very producer-oriented. I'm going to flip through these quickly, but it all comes down to moving our producers up the supply chain. Not just grow the commodity, but get involved with the processing, the wholesale, the retail if possible. So that's the type of projects that we look at. And this leads me to a conversation that we had less than a month ago with the company Dalen Yabo. They are out of South Africa, and they extract furfural from corn cobs. So very closely related to the stover thing again, and Kappa listened with big ears, I can tell you, on this project. And I have to tell you, too, that Dalen Yabo means wealth creation in whatever language it is they speak in South Africa. Someone will have to tell me that. Well, you know, not much different than corn stover in general. The reason there isn't a cob industry out there right now is there's very inadequate compensation being offered to the producer. I think we've heard more often the example that was given is, hey, we'll take your waste. You pay me and I'll come and take your waste off your hands. That doesn't fly, of course, and we've got to move it a lot further. And what the right price is, no one really knows yet. And if you don't have an industry or market going, then you have inefficient harvesting equipment, and that's where we're at right now, although I will say it's improving probably about every month you could probably see some kind of improvement in stover and cob harvesting equipment. So all of this leads to lack of harvesting, so we look at this and say this is a classic supply and demand situation. The price of furfural has tripled in the last year, from 30 cents a pound to 90 cents a pound. You can imagine those users of furfural, how they're suffering on their bottom line because of that. Also reminds me to tell you that there was a furfural production plant in Omaha until 1998, and China got the business. So you look at ways of enhancing the corn cobs, and one of them is very much that we might be able to use the remainder after the furfural has been extracted, use the remainder of the cellulosic material and hemicellulosic for cellulosic ethanol production. That helps add to that demand and to the bottom line, so we get an increase in the price to the producers and incentive to develop the equipment, and it's actually a benefit then to the ethanol industry as well. But it does other things as well. They actually blend it with resins for casting molds and kind of in fiberglass applications and that type of thing, and lubricants and adhesives. But what's happened since 2003 is they've found a whole lot more uses for furfural. There is why the demand is going up. One of the neatest is that they can take pine, just good inexpensive pine wood, treat it with furfural, and the end product is very much like a tropical hardwood. It's water resistant, it doesn't warp, it has beautiful texture and color. It's just awesome. And there's none of that on the market right now because there's not enough raw material to extract furfural from at a price competitive in the market. And then this is, lastly, this is their green energy park concept, because what they really would like to see happen is that they would have procured the biomass, whatever it might be, bring it to a plant like this, extract the chemicals that they can extract, and you can extract more than furfural from corn stover and corn cobs. Then take the residue that it doesn't have value, burn it to produce electricity, but there would be some of the hemicellulosic and cellulosic material that could be used to make cellulosic ethanol. And then finally, because the one thing I didn't tell you about the Lauer bio-composite project in Lignomax is we don't need a lot of cellulose. We do need the lignin. And what do you think's left after you go through a plant like this? It's that hard to break down lignin, and we can use it. So the very last thing could be to run it through a resin facility or production facility like that being proposed by Lauer bio-composite. We don't have any waste stream at all. It is totally used. So, boy, you could just almost see a complete energy park, just like they proposed a green park. So it was very interesting to us, something that we're going to work on, and I'll close with saying, with us doing business development and economic development, one of the most fascinating things about the meeting we had with Dalen Yabo, which we thought would take about 2 hours and it took 7, is the fact that we had producers there that could tell them how many corn cobs they could get and how difficult it would be and what that might have a value. We then had the gentleman with Dalen Yabo who processes it, who knew what he could pay for it, but we even had PenChem there, the chemical user who wants to buy it. So we had the complete supply chain in the room, and instead, and an equipment manufacturer who has some very unique hybrid ways of collecting corn cobs in a manner that does not slow down harvest, which of course is a major concern to farmers. So we had every piece of the supply chain there talking cooperatively rather than competitively. So it just made it a very unique project. With an attitude like that, that's what makes things happen. That and money. So with that, I want to say thank you again very much for having me here. Certainly we'll take some questions. It's kind of fun to see what's going on out there. Agriculture in general is just fascinating.